July 10, 1969. The Royal Mail ship Picardy is steaming through the calm, blue waters of the mid-Atlantic. The lookout spots a speck on the horizon. It is a trimaran, a three-hulled sailboat. It is drifting aimlessly. The sails are flapping loosely in the wind. The tiller is lashing back and forth. The crew of the Picardy sounds the horn. No answer. They pull alongside, they shout. No answer. They board the vessel. The boat is named the Teignmouth Electron *. It is the boat of Donald Crowhurst, the British hero who is currently leading the Sunday Times Golden Globe race. The world is waiting for him in England. There are crowds gathering. There are cameras ready. He is about to win the prize for the fastest solo circumnavigation of the globe. But Donald Crowhurst is not on board. The cabin is empty. There is no sign of a struggle. There is no storm damage. On the table, there is a half-eaten meal. And there are logbooks. Stacks of them. The captain of the Picardy opens the last logbook, expecting to see navigation notes. Instead, he finds thousands of words of rambling, terrifying philosophy. He finds mathematical equations that try to prove that Donald Crowhurst has become a god. And he finds a final entry, written at 11:20 a.m. on July 1st. It is finished. It is the mercy. Then a countdown. The man hadn't fallen overboard. He hadn't been washed away. He had walked off the back of his boat into the endless ocean, leaving behind the greatest hoax in maritime history. This is the story of Donald Crowhurst. It is not just a story about sailing. It is a story about the crushing weight of expectation. It is a story about a man who trapped himself in a lie so big that the only escape was death. And it is a cautionary tale about what happens when you try to fake your way through the most unforgiving environment on Earth. If you are fascinated by the psychology of isolation and the dark side of ambition, please hit that subscribe * button right now. You need to hear this story because it proves that you can lie to the press, you can lie to your family, but you cannot lie to the sea. To understand the tragedy, we have to understand the race. The year was 1968. The world was obsessed with firsts. We were about to put a man on the moon. But there was one challenge left on Earth: to sail around the world alone without stopping. The Sunday Times newspaper announced the Golden Globe race. There were two prizes: a trophy for the first person to finish, and a cash prize of £5,000, a fortune back then, for the fastest time. The entrants were legends: Robin Knox-Johnston, Bernard Moitessier, tough, seasoned sailors. And then there was Donald Crowhurst. Donald was not a legend. He was a 36-year-old electronics engineer. He was a weekend sailor, a dreamer. He was charming, handsome, and brilliant, but his business was failing. He saw the race not as a sporting event, but as a lifeline. If he won, the prize money would save his business. The fame would make him rich. If he didn't enter, he would go bankrupt. He mortgaged his house. He signed a deal with a wealthy sponsor, Stanley Best. But there was a clause in the contract, a deadly clause. If Donald quit the race, he had to buy back the boat. Since he had no money, quitting meant financial ruin. He would lose his house. He would lose everything. He had backed himself into a corner before he even set sail. Donald designed a revolutionary boat, a trimaran. It was fast, but it was complex. And he was running out of time. As the departure deadline approached, the boat wasn't ready. The hatches weren't watertight, the self-steering gear wasn't tested, the safety equipment was loose. On October 31, 1968, the very last day permitted by the rules, Donald prepared to leave Teignmouth, England. He was rushing, he was scrambling. In the chaos, he left behind his crucial spare parts. He left behind his specialized hoses to fix leaks. As he stood on the deck, waving to his wife Claire and his children, he was crying. He wasn't crying tears of joy. He later admitted he felt like he was going to his execution. He knew the boat wasn't safe. He knew he wasn't ready. But the cameras were rolling. The sponsor was watching. He had to go. The first few weeks were a disaster. The Teignmouth Electron was fast, but it was leaking. Every time the waves hit, water sprayed into the cabin. The hatches leaked, the radio broke. Donald was constantly bailing water. By the time he reached the Atlantic, he was weeks behind the leaders. He did the math. To sail around the world, he had to enter the roaring 40s, the Southern Ocean. This is the most dangerous stretch of water on the planet. Massive waves, freezing winds, icebergs. Donald knew, with absolute certainty, that his boat would not survive the Southern Ocean. If he went down there, the boat would break apart, and he would die. But if he turned back, he would be humiliated, he would be bankrupt, he would lose his home. He was trapped. Die at sea or die financially on land. Sometime in December 1968, sitting alone in the middle of the ocean, Donald Crowhurst came up with a third option. A lie. He decided he wouldn't sail around the world. He would just pretend to. The plan was audacious. He would sail south into the Atlantic. Then, instead of turning left to go around Africa and into the Southern Ocean, he would just stop. He would loiter in the South Atlantic, hiding from shipping lanes. He would wait for months while the other sailors circled the globe. Then, as they came back up the Atlantic on their return journey, he would slip back in front of them. He would sail back to England claiming he had gone the whole way around. Nobody would know. He would fake his logbooks. He would fake his radio reports. Donald began to execute the plan. He shut down his radio. He maintained radio silence, claiming his generator was broken. This allowed him to hide his position. In reality, he was drifting off the coast of Brazil. But in his logbooks, he was writing a fantasy. He calculated where he should be if he were sailing fast. He created fake weather reports. He created fake star sites. He listened to the BBC World Service to hear where the other racers were, plotting their positions so he could time his re-entry. He spent his days fishing, reading Einstein, and recording fake tapes to play for the press later. "Oh, the waves are huge down here near Antarctica," he shouted into his tape recorder while sitting in calm, sunny waters near South America. But deception takes a toll. Donald was a man of intellect. He valued truth. To live a lie 24 hours a day, alone, with only the horizon to judge you, began to fracture his mind. He started to feel guilty. He imagined his wife hearing the news of his progress. He imagined the crowds cheering for a hero who didn't exist. Spring 1969. The other racers were dropping out. One by one, the boats broke. Robin Knox Johnston, the leader, finished the race. He was the first. But the prize for the fastest time was still up for grabs. Nigel Tetley was in the lead for speed. Donald Crowhurst re-entered the race. He broke radio silence. "This is Teignmouth Electron. I am passing the Falkland Islands." He wasn't. He was thousands of miles away. But the world believed him. Suddenly, Donald Crowhurst was the dark horse. He was catching up. The press went wild. The weekend sailor is going to win. This was the worst possible outcome for Donald. If he won, his logbooks would be scrutinized by the judges. They would see the fake sun sights. They would see the lack of storm damage. He would be exposed as a fraud. He needed to come in second or third. If he finished quietly, nobody would check his logs too closely. He could take the glory, save his house, and hide the lie forever. But Donald didn't know that his fake radio reports were pushing the real sailors to the breaking point. Nigel Tetley, the man actually winning on speed, heard that Crowhurst was catching him. Tetley pushed his boat, the Victress to the limit. He sailed through a storm too fast, terrified of losing to Crowhurst. His boat broke apart, it sank. Tetley was rescued, but he was out of the race. Tetley later tragically took his own life, partly due to the stress of the race. With Tetley out, the path was clear. Donald Crowhurst was going to win. He received a telegram from the BBC. "You are the only one left. Huge welcome awaits. 100,000 people expected in Teignmouth." When Donald read that message, he broke. He realized there was no escape. He was going to be a hero. He was going to win the £5,000. And then he was going to be caught. The lie had become a monster that had consumed his rivals, and now it was coming for him. June 24, 1969. Donald Crowhurst stopped sailing. He was in the Sargasso Sea, an area of calm water and thick seaweed. He stopped taking navigational notes. Instead, he started writing philosophy. He wrote 25,000 words in 8 days. It wasn't a diary. It was a manifesto of madness. He tried to use mathematics to solve the problem of his own morality. He wrote about cosmic beings. He wrote about the nature of truth. He convinced himself that he had become a God being. He believed that if he could master his mind, he could leave his body. His handwriting started to change. It became erratic. He wrote, "I am the ace of spaces. I am the cosmic mind." He was trying to rationalize his suicide. He believed that by leaving the race, he was leaving the game of life. July 1, 1969. The sun rose over the Atlantic. The chronometer ticked. Donald sat at his chart table. He wrote his final confession. He admitted nothing explicit about the hoax, but he admitted that he had resigned from the game. He wrote, "It is finished. It is the mercy. I have no need to prolong the game. It has been a difficult game to play." He checked the time. 11:20:40. He wrote the countdown. 11:20:40. There is no reason for harmful. The sentence ends. He put down the pen. He stood up. He picked up the ship's chronometer clock and the fake logbooks. He walked out onto the deck. The ocean was calm. He stepped off the back of the boat. He didn't jump, he just stepped. He wanted to leave the boat intact, perhaps so his family could sell it, or perhaps to leave the puzzle behind. He sank into the blue. 10 days later, the Picardy found the boat. They hoisted it aboard. They found the logs. When the news broke in England, it was a shockwave. The hero was a cheat. The winner was a suicide. His wife, Claire, was devastated. She had been waiting on the dock. She refused to believe it at first. She thought he had fallen overboard accidentally. But then the judges read the logs. They saw the madness. They realized that Donald had spent 7 months in a solitary confinement of his own making, tortured by his own conscience. The prize money was donated by the winner, Robin Knox Johnston, to Donald's family. It saved their house. Robin Knox Johnston said, "Donald didn't try to cheat, he tried to survive. He got caught in a trap." The boat, the Teignmouth Electron, had a sad fate. It was sold, then sold again. It ended up abandoned on a beach on the island of Cayman Brac in the Caribbean. For decades it rotted there in the sand, a bleached skeleton of a lie. Tourists would visit it. They would scratch their names into the hull. The boat that never went around the world, ending its days slowly dissolving into the sand, unable to sink, unable to sail. The story of Donald Crowhurst is a unique documentary because it isn't about the ocean. It's about the imposter syndrome taken to the fatal extreme. We have all felt like frauds. We have all lied to get out of trouble. We have all promised something we weren't sure we could deliver. Donald Crowhurst is a tragic figure because he is us. He wasn't a villain. He was a father who wanted to provide. He was a man who wanted to be respected. But he forgot that nature doesn't care about your reputation. The ocean doesn't read newspapers. You are either seaworthy or you are not. The logs are the most haunting artifact. To see a brilliant engineer's mind unravel into chaos, to see the equations proving he is God, it is a terrifying glimpse into what happens when the human mind has no one to talk to but itself. Donald Crowhurst wanted to be remembered as a great sailor. Instead, he is remembered as the ultimate tragic hero of the sea. He circumnavigated the globe in his mind, but his body never left the Atlantic. He proves that the longest journey isn't around the world. The longest journey is the one inside your own head. The final log entry, "It is the mercy," is one of the saddest things I've ever read. He saw death as a kindness compared to the shame of exposure. Do you think he intended to die from the start of the fake voyage? Or did he think he could pull it off until the very end? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you are moved by this story of isolation and the human condition, please hit that asterisk like asterisk button. And subscribe ***. I have a story coming next week about a man who lived in a cave for 500 days to test the effects of isolation on the brain and forgot how to speak. Stay safe, be honest with yourself, and respect the ocean.